Let's try to keep not try. Let's do for Gus and his family, and that's a sad deal to have to experience, and he's again nobody really knows what's going on behind the scenes. Everybody sees just one part of it, but I mean he's been doing that and dealing with that and game planning, and then call that kind of game, and then so prayers to him and his family, and hope all that turns out well for Coach.
We'll open up for questions. Brendan?
Coach, what the last month have been to get the victory, but just to see the guys having fun on the sideline. I guess it seemed like it was good for the soul. I mean, how did it feel for you guys?
Same. The atmosphere on the sideline was completely different, and there was a calmness. Actually, they were more calm than I was. Like I had the nerves and all this kind of stuff. Like what we gonna do? How we gonna react? And then just from the very first kickoff, it was kind of like okay. There was a different calmness on the sideline, and that's what good coaching does. That's all Coach Norvell. He set a message to the team, and it was a consistent one throughout the bye week, and I think it hit with those guys. It hit home with those guys, and they practiced that way, and you emphasized it, and they walked through that way, and it was emphasized, and it was a deal where it applied to the grass, and just a different kind of chemistry there, and it was great because that fan, the shirtless gang up there in the side. I tell you what, man, that is true. Like that is true connectivity right there. Like because the guys were feeding off of it. They were jumping around the sideline. It felt great to be on the sideline like that. And that's what you wanted for the guys.
During the bye week, how much did you guys self-scout? What did you take away defensively that you learned in doing so?
Yeah, same thing. You go back and look, and just the not the overcompensation, but really the overcompensation of things. Sometimes you try to do too much, so to speak, and you're looking at all the adjustments you make, and they can't do this. These people did this, these people did this, and it's like, hey man, this is football. There are a million scenarios out there that can happen, and as long as you have a foundation and make sure those guys can trust their training when stress happens, revert back to your training, then your rules and your training will take you through problems. The chalkboard won't. You adjust too much, and now the guys are more confused, and then they start busting assignments and all that kind of stuff. So it was good to go back and self-scout and just kind of go back to square one and do the things that the guys were comfortable doing, and with some added stuff in there that we hadn't done before. I think that was a good mix for the guys to do, especially against that offense. They really mirrored us on offense. They were a lot of formations, a lot of fib, a lot of blur motions, a lot of window dressing, a lot of stuff like a lot of quarterback run game. So they were very similar in that regard. So it was good to be able to see that kind of execution by the guys against an offense that was that talented.
Did you feel like they truly played faster?
I feel like they were calmer. I feel like we played fast and we played aggressive. We weren't always clean. By no means were we clean, but when adversity hit, it wasn't like a distraction. It didn't separate us. It brought us together. And like I said, things happened on the sideline where, we're trying to correct guys on defense, and the offense is moving the ball, and they all get up and they went to go cheer for the offense. Little subtleties like that not everybody sees, but that ended up playing the biggest part of the game. So it was good to see. But again, it's about you poured that cup out, and now we got to refill it and get those guys back in that right frame of mind for a really talented Clemson team.
Coach, as far as statistical standpoint,
Yeah.
keeping the QBs under 100 or keep running you under 100,
Yeah.
and the turnovers, the forced fumbles, is there anything that you really felt the most proud of?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're actively seeing guys go after the ball more. They're starting to gain confidence that way. It started with, I think, in Pitt, Earl went and he punched that ball out. You see Jabril get his hands on some footballs that way. You see Jerry, jumping routes, and I think you're seeing guys like feeling more confident of trying to attack the ball. A lot of those fumbles were caused because of guys punching at the ball. You know what I mean? Now they fumbled 6 times. We only got 1, so that's not good. You got to get more than that. But at least they are actively trying to take the ball away from those guys. So that'll pay dividends as you want to play, your best ball in November.
We talked about Coach Norvell's message during the bye week. share a little bit of what that was, like what the overall theme was?
Yeah, just believe, man. It's just believe in yourself, believe in the guy next to you, believe in the other side of the ball, believe in this coaching staff, believe in FSU, believe in what you stand for. Just believe and trust your training, and that was it. And be calm, because you believe. Like, just because I believe, everything great is going to happen. That don't mean bad stuff it isn't going to happen to me. It's just how you weather the storm. And again, like, that was the best thing either way, right? Like, bad things happen. Okay, it was kind of like, what's next? No big deal. You know what I mean? Like, just stay the course. And I think it was a return to how, like I said, the very first time the defense stepped on the field together against Bama, there was an 18-play drive. It reminded me of that, where we didn't get off the field, but it was just kind of like, okay, kind of like, no big deal. We'll be okay. We're gonna execute. We're gonna do those things, and it felt very similar to that on the sideline. So, it was just believe.
Did you feel like the confidence was wavering a little bit in those couple of weeks?
No, not confidence, but it was like, when adversity hits, it was more so like they forgot. Like, we forgot. Like, first starts with us first, right? Like, we forgot, doing too much, trust their training, believe in the individual, like trying to make too many adjustments to do this and, protect this. And it was like, man, trust their training, you know what I mean? Like, put them in those positions, trust their training, and then let them go. So, and again, like, it worked out. It worked out well, for everybody, for all position groups, both sides of the ball. It felt good. It felt good to watch the young men, like, truly enjoy playing football. So we'll see.
Liam?
You talked a couple weeks ago, like taking a step back and making sure guys weren't thinking as much, and you mentioned it there earlier. As a unit, we saw it, but also individually. Guys like James, he got to the quarterback, forced an interception, got a sack. Edwin had that third down strip, led to the false start on fourth down. That confidence that can give them, both as a unit and individually, with 4 games left, how big is that?
Huge. I mean, you want a chance to go bowling. You want a chance to go just 1-0 this week. Well, you better, again, like I said, if you just going out there in warm-ups, if you ain't confident in what you're doing and how you're doing it, you already lost the game. I mean, you're done. You're lost. So by them being able to take that, the bye week, it was crazy, because the bye week, the practices that we had, and then leading into the practices last week, they were great practices. Like, these guys, man, they do what you ask them to do. You know what I mean? They truly do. And they practice hard. They work their butts off. And so now it's just bridging that gap between what they do in practice and having the calmness in practice, that it's not you made a mistake. Okay, no big deal. That's what we're here to correct and all that stuff. But then taking it into the game and still having that same mindset, like, bro, like, you can make a mistake because you're too hesitant, or you can make a mistake because you let it all out there and you let it go, and the ball just beats you every once in a while. You know what I mean? So it's just got to bridge that gap and make sure that they are confident in what they're doing.
For James to break through and get the sack, and you also have the pressure that led to the interception, I'm sure happy for the result on the field, but just for him to, I guess, what did that mean for him to kind of break through in that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's with anybody with that confidence, right? The first time they do it and they feel it, you hope that it just propels them into doing it more and doing it easier. Again, I remember Coach Norvell talking about Fisk, and how he had all these goals and stuff early on, and like midway through the season, he didn't hit any of them. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden he's like, hey man, just same kind of message, right? Like, trust your training, believe, like, it will happen. And then he ends up, like, with 5 sacks in the end of the year and doing all this kind of stuff. Well, very similar, right? Like, he's pressing, he's trying, he's trying to live up to, again, he reads and he knows, he's very conscientious, he cares about every little thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he knows all that stuff, but it was just a return to, like, man, just play football. Like, hey, here's your keys. If this guy does this, do this. You know what I mean? And luckily, like, it was his time to make some big plays, and he did. So hopefully that propels himself into practicing hard, believing, and making those plays this week.
Jordan?
What have you seen from Clemson offensively? They had a great game offensively,
Yeah.
I guess, yesterday, and it seems like Klubnik continues to play.
He's getting better. He's getting better. Getting championship teams, like, I don't care what the record is. Like, they're getting better. Teams that are good, they get better in November, and they're on fire. They did this last couple games where they started scoring 40 points plus and 500 yards of offense, all this kind of stuff. Receivers are starting to be in sync. The run game is there. Like, they're starting to play well. You know what I mean? And so we're gonna have to flush out everything that was and that they did, and start anew and make sure that we're as confident, we're as calm, we know what to do, we know how to execute, and we put our guys in the right positions to go make plays this week. So.
Is there a receiver that you have to focus on?
No, they got 3 of them that they'll. I mean, again, you put up 500 yards, 40 points plus in the last couple. Like you're gonna get the ball. He's getting the ball around to them all. So it's gonna be pretty fun to see if we can what kind of game plan we can come up with. Yeah.
Clemson struggled to run early in here, correct?
Mhm.
What have they done that's allowed them to be better at that?
I think the offense, the sync, just being in sync and rhythm. I think they're starting to find it, and like I said, the last couple of games, as you see, and they're going against some good defenses too. It's not like the defenses they're going against are bad. They're going against some really good defenses, and they're putting up crazy yards and points. So they're just finding their groove, man. It's just timing, rhythm, the play caller figuring out what they can do well, what they're doing well, the quarterback making decisions like that. Like they're starting to vibe. So it's going to be a challenge.
Coach Norvell said during the bye, you guys maybe did more good on good,
Mhm.
there's more competition.
Mhm.
Is that something, first of all, how does that help? And then second of all, is that something that you can do as the year continues, or is that just a bye week kind of thing?
No, that was a bye week emphasis. Coach did that the last bye week too. A lot of good on good. Just for the speed of the game because he gave him some time off. And you can definitely do that. I think that was more, again, like you talk about the guys who program builders who have won. That was something that I think was by design. Him doing that, and then him emphasizing like later on in the week, which was really awesome to see and hear, was the fact that it was like when we go good on good, guys, when we go good on good, like somebody's going to lose every play. Somebody loses every play. You don't think about it like that because you're just competing. You know what I mean? You're not looking at the scoreboard, you're just competing. Well, then all of a sudden you put a scoreboard at another team, and all of a sudden now you care about every single thing you care. You're running around scared. He's like, no. He's like, go compete. Go compete like you did in the bye week. Go compete like you do when we go against each other, team compete. No scoreboard, no nothing. Just go compete, and we'll look at the scoreboard after, and we'll see what happens. And like I said, it just kind of resonated with them, right? They took that to heart, and results were in our favor. So.
When you talk about a guy like Deuce Robinson, and when you have to face him in practice every day, we talked to Jabril last night. He talked about how he's been lining up with him since spring.
Mm-hmm.
One, what can a guy like that on offense do to help your defense learn for playmakers like Clemson has or other teams? And then two, the complementary football aspect. When he's making those one-handed catches or big plays, how does that kind of amp up the defense?
Oh, you should have seen like we were in the midst of talking, and then he makes that. You can see everybody look at the scoreboard, and they just got up like it was that one meme where I forgot that rapper, like he's like on the lake and he sits up and he's looking like that. You know what I mean? Like it's the same thing. They were all just sitting down, and I remember I was looking at them, and then they all jumped up to look at the scoreboard. And I said, "What happened?" I looked up and I saw the one-handed catch. I was like, "Man, that's not normal right there." You know what I mean? But anytime it's iron sharpens iron, it helps us. It's just like their offense was very similar to what we do. Great, very schematically hard to defend. You know what I mean? Like lots of motion shifts, getting their playmakers moving around 10. You know what I mean? Quarterback run game, all that kind of stuff. And it was very much like team compete out there. You know what I mean? So I think there was a good familiarity with what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. So it helped anytime iron sharpens iron.
We'll do 2 more. Chris?
I think Jaden Jones got his first career start. What played into the decision to start him? I presume it was based on practice.
Yep.
During the bye.
Playing fast. He's starting to play fast. He's starting to be the guy that everybody believed he can be. He's twitchy. I mean, he's 6'5", 6'6". He's 240 pounds. He can move and he can win on edges. But again, like no matter how much you tell him, no matter how much you drill it, no matter how much you practice it, until you do it in a game and do it consistently, like you got to know what it feels like. You know what I mean? And so he had a couple plays we highlighted today where he didn't make the sack, but he's the guy who caused it. He's the guy who allowed the other person to get the sack. You know what I mean? So, and you want to highlight those things because sometimes people don't really see that and realize that. Everybody's patting the guy who got the actual sack, but it was really because the coverage did their job and the other end on the other side remained high, so the quarterback couldn't escape that way, so he turned back. And because he turned back, Jaden made the quarterback roll out that way to an unblocked Desir. You know what I mean? Like all those little things together. So he's playing fast. He's playing physical. He knows what to do, and it's good that he's helping the team play well.
A couple of your guys, all the players last night, but Earl and Jabril kind of were vocal about supporting Coach Norvell.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, being that this is your first year here, like, what have you seen from the guys and the way they responded to the losses and just, you know, the chatter about Coach and all that?
Yeah. Well, I can't. Again, I don't know what happened the year before. All you can get is you watch the tape. The only thing that matters is the tape, right? Only thing that matters is what the actions are. So you go back through and you look at that, so you get a picture of what that was like, and then you come here and through adversity, again, those scores could have been very similar. You know what I mean? Those scores could have been whatever. You could have saw the same things where guys ain't playing, like guys ain't trying. You could see that, but that's that. Like I said that weeks ago. That's not these guys. You know what I mean? That's not them. You know what I mean? They had every chance to do that, and they said no. They're going to play hard, and they're going to keep on going, and we're going to see what happens. And every single game ends up like just 3 or 4 plays away. So that's a testament to those guys believing in their coach and believing what he's saying and really believing in his actions. Like you know, he cares about them, and they know that. You know what I mean? They understand that. They know that in their core. So they're gonna play their butts off for him. You know, again, that's no matter what anybody says in front of the microphone, you put on the tape or you watch what they do, and those guys respond. You know, we didn't have the outcomes that we wanted, but those guys play their butts off. And for them to stand up there and publicly say that, like, it shows it in the way they're playing. So we're gonna try to give them all the tools and the confidence they need to go out there and do what they did on the grass. So
Okay, thanks, Coach.
thank you guys.